Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beats, Beards, and Beers. On this episode, we're going to find the best beers and breweries in the USA. So please join me on this adventure. Hello, I'm Harry Head, and welcome to another episode of Beats, Beards, and Beers. Now today we're going to do another special episode where we do a tasting paddle of a US city. So what do I mean by a tasting paddle? So there are so many great breweries around all of the US. So a tasting paddle is just a few of those breweries in one US city that I give my perspective on as a visitor from Australia. And I just thought these might be helpful for other people that might be visiting these cities and looking for a froth. So anyway, before we get into the episode, I just need to apologise on the sound quality on some of these things. We're in some pretty busy bars, and so a bit of background noise here. I've tried to do what I can, but it's still not fantastic. But anyway, we'll improve things over time. So anyway, let's get into the episode. So today we are off to New York to dive deep into the hustle and bustle of the concrete jungle on the search for some tasty beers. So as part of this tasting paddle, we'll be visiting Manhattan Breweries, Torch and Crown Brewing Company, and the Other Half Brewing in the Rockefeller Center tap room. And then we'll head across the Brooklyn Bridge to check out Evil Twin Brewing and 6 Point Brewing at City Point. I'll taste and rate a few beers, and I'll use the average for the beer score. Then I'll rate the brewery on its vibe and the service to give an overall score. So let's get into it. So first, we're off to Torch and Crown Brewing Company. They have a couple of locations, a Soho and a Union Square location, but we visited the Soho location in Lower Manhattan, which is their flagship location and production space, which is open all year round. It's got a very professional looking entrance, but welcoming inside. With the beer range, I forgot to take the footage of the beer list, but it's a good all-rounder list. It's got everything that you need, some pretty basic stuff to some more interesting styles and flavours. Let's give some a taste. G'day everyone, we're at the Torch and Crown Brewing Company here in New York. First brewery we've been to in New York. Yes, I think so. Anyway, so I've got a couple of beers in front of me. So I'm going to start with the Highbrow, which is a fest beer, 5.5%. It's their tribute to the traditional Bavarian fest beer. So give it a taste. Oh, it's a nice beer. Got that very malty character, low in the bitterness. What else? It's just got that malt, biscuity, malty kind of taste. Yeah, it's good. Give it. Let's go 3.75 for that one, or 3.75 Harry Heads for that one. And then let's give this one a taste, which is the Black Tie Porter. Perfect for, it's 5.5%, apparently perfect for cold weather, which it definitely is outside. You can probably tell the difference in what I'm wearing when I was in Hawaii. Alright, let's give it a taste. Delicious. Roasty, malty, chocolatey, bit of coffee. Bloody delicious that is. 4.5 Harry Heads on that one. It's a good one. So that's the Black Tie Porter. So yeah, pretty trendy place here. Looking forward to trying a few beers. Cheers. Hey, so next beer is the Verdant. You say Verdant, I say Verdant. Very hazy. It is a hazy pale ale, as the picture would suggest. 5.2%. Let's give it a taste.
Maybe they like you too strong. Yeah. They just like feed you stuff.
I think I was expecting something a bit fuller because of the last two beers we had, which were really delicious. This is probably on the kind of lighter flavour side. I mean, what it says on the tag is it's lime zest, kiwi, peaches, cream, and citrus fifth, which I think is a weird thing to put on there. Anyway, I'm getting pineapple, citrus. It's quite easy drinking, pretty low bitterness. Yeah, but I just feel like it's just a little bit, just for me, it needs a bit more punch in terms of flavour for a hazy like this. So I'm going to give it 3.5 hairy heads. So cheers on that one.
There you go. What was his name?
Alright, so Transverse, which is an autumn ale, 5.3%. Let's give it a taste, eh? Malty, like it's a nice beer. I can already feel a 4.25 hairy heads coming on just from the taste. It hit me right between the eyes. That's where it landed. Malty, biscuity, roasty. It's really crazy. I've never had an American autumn, but it makes me think of like those like American multicolored orangey, browny leaves falling off trees, a big pile of leaves at the bottom of a tree, and I don't know, diving into it or something. It just makes me think of autumn. So autumn, should I say, wow. Anyway. Delicious beer, it's good, I like it. So yeah, cheers to the Transverse.
Is she gonna go down?
Have you rated it?
Yeah, pretty sure I said 4.25. And it hit me between the eyes before I did anything. So, I'll rate this one just as my intuition suggested at a 4.25 hairy heads. So this next one is the Fire Flower. It's a West Coast Imperial IPA at 8%. 8%. I mean, it's strong. Doesn't seem that strong. But anyway, 8%. So let's give it a taste. So definitely on that piney, resiny kind of space, bitter. Even though I'm not a bitter lover, that's actually a really nice beer. There's a fruit there that I can't quite pick. I reckon because of the bitterness, I'm thinking citrus, but it's not. There's almost like a pineapple-y, mango-y thing happening there, but it's kind of being covered up by the bitterness and that sort of citrusy taste. But really nice beer. I'll give that 4 hairy heads out of 5. So yeah. So for the beers, that gives an average score of 4 hairy heads. In terms of the vibe, trendy place. For some reason, it felt a little more upmarket than most breweries that I've been to, although I can't really put my finger on why, and it definitely gives that professional vibe from the front and the welcome at the door, but it's still a very comfortable place to have a beer. So it depends if you're after a cozy spot or a more upmarket feel, but anyway, I gave it a 4. In terms of service, excellent, friendly service, obviously a really busy place, but just the right amount of attention and chat. So I'll give that 4.25 hairy heads, which gives a total score of 12.25. So next, we're off to the Other Half Brewing at the Rockefeller Center. So Other Half Brewing have been around for about 10 years, and they have a stack of locations in New York, Washington DC, Philadelphia, and more. So we visited the Rockefeller Center, which is right in the action of the tourist area of New York City. In terms of their beer range, pretty limited list, but enough variety. All their beers use a really wide variety of hops, and there's some interesting stuff on there. As you can see, pretty packed inside and pretty noisy, so I couldn't record sound at all. So you'll have to live with a voiceover for all of this one. So the first beer is the Short, Dark and Handsome, which is a coffee stout, coming in at 7.4%. Roasty, dark, coffee, smooth type flavours, and I gave that 4 hairy heads. Next up was the More Broccoli Than All Triple Broccoli Special Reserve, which was the triple IPA, coming in at 10.5%, so a bit of a big one, and tropical flavours, hoppy, a little bit bitter, so I gave that 3.75 hairy heads. One of their guest taps was the Elderberry Gose by Lawson's Finest Liquids at 5%. Very tart, berries, refreshing cherry flavours and raspberries. We won't add this in the total because it was a guest tap, but I rated that 4.5. And then a couple of other beers, the Sweet Potato Fries, which was a double New England IPA at 8.5%. Juicy, really delicious, soft citrus, pineapple flavours, gave that 4.5 hairy heads. And finally, we had I'd Rather Be Juicing, which was a New England IPA, coming in at 7%, just as it says on the packet, juicy, hazy, tasty IPA, and I give that 3.75 hairy heads. So that gives an average score for the beers of 4 hairy heads. In terms of the vibe, busy, very handy location for grabbing a beer in the middle of New York, and pretty cool actually considering how close you are to the action, but really nothing mind-blowing, so I'll give that 3.5 hairy heads. Service, it was fine. The staff were all behind the bar. It was very busy, so really not much real interactions. Staff were doing a good job, but not much of a chance for any real interaction, so we'll give it 3.5 hairy heads, giving a total score of 11. So, where are we off to next? We're going to head over the Brooklyn Bridge to Evil Twin Brewing. So, Evil Twin's been kicking around for 15 years or so nomadically, but they put down roots in New York City about 9 years ago. They've got locations in Queens and Brooklyn, and we checked out the Brooklyn Dumbo spot. In terms of their beer range, they have a massively long list of beers with lots of complexity and funky combinations and flavours. Really my type of list, as I love really out-of-the-box stuff. You can still find the basics if that's what floats your boat, but overall the range is amazing. And that's why I ended up with a couple of tasting paddles. Lots of collaborations on the list too. Anyway, let's taste some beers. Alright, so we're here at Evil Twin Brewing, tasting a few beers. Got quite a few to taste here. So we're going to, in no particular order here, we're going to go, they have a lot of beers too. I'll show you the list a bit later. Number 6, this is the E.T. Stayed Home. Sour ale, 6%, pomegranate, passion fruit and peach. Oh my God. Oh. Wow. Got to talk about the beer, don't I? Holy moly, that's delicious. Passion fruit, big passion fruit, peach flavors, fruity. It is a sour. It's not that touch of sour. It's, oh man, it's delicious. So good. Can I go 5 this early? I don't know. I'm going to go 4.75. That's freaking delicious. Alright, now we're going to go the Luxurious Luxury Volume 1, which is an Imperial Berliner Rosé. It's 9%, so let's give that a taste. Oh my god, that is so sweet and delicious. Now I must say, for people that like beers, this is not your place. These are like delicious drinks, almost like a cocktail. That is really raspberry plum, yeah, big time. And it says it's brewed with marshmallow. Let's see if I go. Oh, it's just so sweet. It's full on. It's sweet. Really delicious. 4.75 berry heads, like that one too. Okay, what have we got now? Number 19, which is the even more straight out of the Marshmallow Factory. It's a triple IPA, 10%. Sorry, it's even more straight out of the Marshmallow Laboratory, which is a collaboration with the Equilibrium Brewing. Triple IPA, 10.2%. So, let's give this a taste. Freaking delicious again. Creamy. It's more beery this time, so it's got bitterness, so it's bitter. Yeah, marshmallows, creamy, fruity, citrus, boozy, delicious. We have 4.5 berry heads on that one. The next one is the even more candy canes, which is the Imperial Stout at 11.5. So let's give that a try. I mean, exactly what it says on the packet. Peppermint, big time peppermint, chocolatey peppermint. Yeah, another really nice beer. Got that, which one is now, that kind of maltiness. Delicious. I'm gonna go, just now I'm gonna go 4.25 berry heads on that one. It's probably more just because the peppermint I'm just not a massive fan of, just personally. If you're a big fan of peppermint, you probably love it. Yeah, another delicious beer. Holy moly, off to a big start. So, cheers on that. Alright, next round, we've got the Make It Fruity Autumn Ale, Sour Ale, 4.5%. Let's give that a taste. Oh, yum. Apple cinnamon, baked apple cinnamon. Touch of sourness, but really delicious, like apple juice. Oh, these are great beers here. Very impressed. I'm going to give this 4.25 berry heads on that one. Alright. This one is the you ready for it? It's the sour adaptation of Root plus Branch's the nomadic approach to reinventing the wheel, brewed with great care and equal between New York City in Ridgewood, Queens, under the direction of Hudson Valley Brewing version 2. It's a sour IPA, 8% collaboration with Brute and Branch Brewing and Hudson Valley Brewing. So quite a few collaborations there. Let's see. Oh my god. That is like gummies, like pineapple, orange, vanilla, sweet, orange, buttery. Oh my god, this is so delicious. I'm gonna go 5 on that. 5 hairy heads. It is amazing. Okay. What do we got next? Number 9, which is the world's most important beer. So this is a collaboration with the world's most important man. So it's a sour ale at 6%. My God. It's a very special beers. Raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. Coconut. It says marshmallow in it as well, so sweet as. Like, really delicious. And so hard, they're so up there. They're very sweet. I don't know if I'm going to drink a lot of them, so my initial rating could drop because it might be too sweet, but I'm going to go 4.5 hairy heads on that. It's too hard. Wow, alright. And the last one. This is the Molotov cocktail, New York City version. It's a triple IPA at 12%. So let's give it a cheers on that. Alright, this is back in the beery side. Yeah, slightly bitter. And really, so you got that citrus, orangey. It doesn't taste that boozy for a 12%. Nice. I'm gonna give that one a 4 hairy heads. So cheers on that. What an amazing brewery. Like, if you like sweet sour beers, like this place, my God, those sweet beers are food. Oh. Anyway, awesome. Cheers to that. Cheers to a bit of time in Brooklyn. Cheers. So, overall for the beers, an average of 4.5 hairy heads. But I must put a massive disclaimer on this. As I said before, I really like the sort of crazy beers, and some of these beers were pretty crazy. Nearly all of them were ultra sweet and really funky, flavorful beers. If you're a real beer type person, you're probably not going to necessarily like everything on the list, but there's definitely things in there for you. But for me, the variety on there and how big those flavors were, I'm going to give it 4.5. In terms of the vibe, very spacious, and it felt a little bit empty. And it not really because of the number of people. I mean, there wasn't a lot of people in there because it was the middle of the day and it was snowing outside, so it was pretty cold. Not exactly the best day for a beer. But I'm not really sure what made it feel so empty. I think it might have been the big high ceilings, which kind of knocked some of the joy out of the place. Anyway, so I'm going to give it 3.5. In terms of the service, as I said, it wasn't very busy, but didn't really get any service. The bar staff were just kind of hanging around behind the bar, and kind of one of those places where when you walk up to order a drink, you kind of feel like you're interrupting. So anyway, I'll give that 2.5. That gives a total score of 10.5. So the final place we're off to is 6 Point Brewing, which has been kicking around since about 2004, and they've got a couple of tap rooms, one at City Point in Brooklyn, which is the one we visited, and one at Brookfield Place in Manhattan. Note that City Point is basically a brewery in a food court in a shopping centre, which is a bit interesting. But anyway, we'll get to that later. So onto the beers. So a good long list of beers, including your basic lagers, ales, sours, porters, and doubles. A really good range that covers all the bases that you want. If you're just after a standard froth or you're looking for a bit more adventurous, they've got it all. Hey, so we're at 6 Point Brewing. And you can see I've already drunk most of my beer, but it's just because we had a delicious pretzel and some crispy potatoes with cheese sauce, which were top notch. Anyway, so I'm going to be drinking the If, apparently that's hard to understand if you've got an Australian accent, the Piff. It's an Imperial IPA at 8.6%. So let's give it another taste and a review. So yeah, nice beer. Got the bitterness. Got definitely an orangey, citrusy smell. Yeah, I'm going to give that 3.75 hairy heads. So cheers. Hey, so I have a feeling this is like an offshoot of 6 Point Brewery called Southern Tier. I think they might all be related in some point. I'll have to check that out and let you know later. But anyway, I'm having Old Man's Winter Ale, which is very appropriate for me because I'm an old man and it's winter. It's freaking freezing outside, by the way. It's a winter ale, 7.5%. Let's give it a taste. I've obviously already tasted a lot of it. It's good. Malty, caramelly. Like just got that kind of brown sugar, caramelly notes. Really delicious. What will I give it? I'll give it 4 hairy heads. So cheers on that one. Yeah, enjoy. Alright, got the 7 beans this time, which is a Imperial Porter at 10%. So let's give it a taste. Oh, tasty. Chocolate, like standard, dark beer, good chocolate, good coffee. But it's got, and I'm cheating because I've got the notes, but I would have said it's got this kind of interesting taste. It's cardamom, which is pretty interesting, and it actually goes pretty well. But it gives it's got a really creamy taste, which is actually pretty awesome. So, although it doesn't take it over the top of a lot of other porters or stouts, so I'm going to go 4 hairy heads. Delicious beer, last beer at 6 Point Brewing. Nice one. Anyway, have a good one. So that gives an average for the beers of 3.9 hairy heads. In terms of the vibe, even though it's in the shopping centre food court, it's still actually a really funky, artsy type place. Really bright colours. Yeah, lots of art and stuff on the walls and really feels very welcoming. So I'm going to go a 4 for that one. In terms of service, excellent. Really friendly staff. Happy to give recommendations. It's a busy place, but they've got, the right amount of staff on. You get just the right amount of attention. Very similar to the service that we got at the Torch and Crown. So I'm going to give that the same score at 4.25, which gives a total score of 12.15. So, as I reflect on my time in the Big Apple, what brewery took out the crown? And of course it was the Torch and Crown Brewery. It was a very close race, and honestly, 6 Point Brewing was very close in there. And at the end of the day, it came down to service. And it just goes to show, what a friendly face can do. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Please remember to like and subscribe. Chuck some comments in if you think I've missed some breweries, or maybe I was just visiting some of these on a bad day. Anyway, yeah, please like and please subscribe. And look forward to the next episode. Love you all. Cheers.